So today is our second Sunday of Lent, and it's a really important part of our next learning in this 40-day journey. Remember, this is all about us transforming ourselves, and in order for that to happen, we have to have tools. And today our focus is on the power of prayer, but it's going to be different than what you might expect. So I'm hoping you learn just how powerful prayer can be. You know, back in 1998, when I first heard this, I thought it was a joke because I couldn't believe I'd been praying a different way my whole life. But what I came to realize is that when we learn to pray with the right power and with the right understanding, we change the way that we grow and the way our life turns out. And the best person in my book, my understanding, to help us with that is Eric Butterworth. He was a significant contributor to the unity movement, and he really understood metaphysical Christianity and wrote a lot about prayer. Now, just in case you've never heard the term metaphysical Christianity, we are not weird. Okay? It's not meant to scare anybody. But all it really means is what lies under the principles that exist. Christianity, if you grew up Christian, then you know you were taught rules, right? Principles. But did you ever understand how to fully apply them to your life without thinking of them just as rules? Did you see them as ways to help you grow? So metaphysical Christianity, a perfect question might be, what is the underlying meaning of what Jesus said and what he practiced, and how does that help my life today? And for our purposes today, what is the underlying purpose and principle of prayer? So I want to start with what I think most of us grew up with. And I would call that prayer that left us powerless. Right? Oh God, please don't let me get in trouble. Right? Oh God, please don't let them find out what I did. Oh God, please send an answer. I don't know what I'm going to do in this situation. And so we prayed from a place of being powerless. We don't have any power. It's that God had all the power. God pulled all the strings. God was in control. I never knew it any other way. Maybe we asked for forgiveness for something we did. Maybe we asked for help with a need. Or maybe we prayed with the belief that we could prove to God that we were worthy of what we needed. If I ever get through this, I promise to never blank. Didn't we all say that prayer once? Yes. Yes. Just this one time. But that kind of prayer is what Eric Butterworth called beseeching prayer, where we are begging as though we have no power and no control. But that's not the way prayer is meant to be. From that perspective, the way we prayed, letting God be in control meant we had nothing to do with however it turned out, which doesn't really make good sense. Eric Butterworth believed that in prayer as an inner process of awakening what we already had within us and aligning ourselves with our real truth, what we were born into this world with, that powerful being that we are. You know, we call the 12 powers in unity. We were born with all these natural capabilities. We can think, we can have wisdom, we have intuition, we can love. All these things came with us. It was part of the package. We don't use them all, at the same time, and sometimes we don't even use them all. But all of them are ways that we empower ourselves. And there's the way to see the difference is that between those two things, beseeching and aligning, beseeching is begging, powerless experience. Awakening and aligning is a powerful experience. According to Butterworth, the power of prayer lies in its ability to transform our consciousness, the way we think, the way we look at things, and then bring us into harmony with the divine truth of our life. All things are possible, for one. Spiritual truths include things like understanding God works through us, not for us, which means every one of us is a co-creator in our life journey. Now, if you grew up the way I did, you didn't know you co-created anything. What would God say right now? I don't know. I'm not sure. But the idea is that when you switch from this beseeching mentality to this affirming and aligning, you feel it. You are different. You are hopeful. You are affirming. You know what the outcomes could be. From the perspective of co-creator, we must be willing to acknowledge first that we are divine. It's not something we work toward. It's something we already were. We are divine. And once we acknowledge it, then God has something to work with. That God energy works with us instead of against us. This form of acknowledgement occurs through affirmative prayer, where we focus simply on affirming the truth of our divine nature and our oneness with God and the universe. Affirming prayer is saying positive statements. I see myself healed. I am whole. I do not inherit sickness. I am not afraid. God is with me. I am not afraid. Anything that gives you the chance to affirm good rather than feel helpless is affirmative prayer. Affirming the truth of our divine nature, affirming our connection to God, affirming our connection in this amazing universe. You wouldn't be here today if you didn't already believe a little bit that you have that divine capability, unless someone forced you to come, which is always a possibility. We were all forced to go to church. But the question is, how many of us actually used it? And can we grow with it? Can we transform ourselves with the right consciousness to see that we have to be willing to do our part? We cannot sit in our homes and wait for things to happen. Well, I prayed, now I'll go back and watch TV and hang out. You know, I talk to people who watch more TV than I even knew existed. And then they say, my life doesn't go really well. And I think, well, if I watched TV like that, I probably wouldn't have my life going well either. And I mean, no offense to people watching TV, but it's like such a distraction from who we really are that it's nothing but an escape. It's okay to escape. Every night at 10:30, I escape for 30 minutes at least. It's my time to not think anymore. But my point to you is that we can't expect things to happen in our life if we aren't taking any actions, if we aren't affirming. Butterworth said, prayer is not something you do to God or for God, but something you do to and for yourself. It's a practice of empowerment, spiritual awakening. And it takes us to that deepest part within us that says, I am okay no matter what anybody says. I'm a child of the mightiest person in the universe, the greatest energy, the most important power. There's no person with long gray hair pulling strings on your life. There just isn't. This is us. This is our life. We were given the chance to be in this lifetime. What are you doing with it? How much time is spent in prayer? How much time is spent in affirming the good in your life? And there are two key points I really want you to listen to if you took nothing from me today. One is that we have to be willing to do the inner work, to heal ourselves and transform ourselves on the inside, which means releasing all limiting beliefs. If you're stating, I can't because, I can't buy that house because, I can't do that job because, then all you're doing is setting limits for yourself instead of seeing that anything in your life could happen. We need to recognize our divine nature is an unlimited, infinite reservoir of spiritual energy and wisdom. It sits inside us all day long. How many of us are tapping into it? Some of us tap into it a lot and drain it, so then we got to put the prayer back into affirm. And some of us forget to use it. If you can just remember, do the inner work, recognize your divine nature. It's unlimited. And then, if we can keep those 2 points in place, then God can do for us what he can do through us. Meaning that we have the right mindset, so the other energy can then work with that mindset. Prayer helps us to open our hearts and minds to create the conditions that we need to happen for wisdom and guidance to be available to us. So in other words, if our consciousness is on the conditions we're experiencing instead of on the conditions we desire, then we can't be worked with. When someone says to me, I've never been happy, well, keep affirming that, because you'll never see it then. If someone affirms, I am joyful, I am capable of all feelings, including happiness, I see nothing but good for my life, because that God energy sees nothing but good in me. We open our hearts. Think about all the emotions and feelings that might be preventing any of us from having an open heart right now. Like limiting beliefs, which I just said, negative behaviors and patterns, habits of stuffing anger, habits of doubting our well-being. The minute anything goes wrong, oh my God! How many of us do that? Oh no, there's that call. Oh no, how am I going to handle this? But if we have any emotion that creates self-doubt, fear, frustration, or anger, we're blocking that good energy in us. It's nothing but an obstacle. You got to let that stuff go. Whatever you've done or experienced in the past, forget it. It can't help you anymore. The only thing that can help you is remembering what you walked away from and how powerful you really are. Other ways we can open our heart and mind include speaking kindly and lovingly about ourselves. Don't trash yourself. You're a divine being. Don't trash yourself. How can God help us if we don't even see the good in us? And one of the most important ways we can help ourselves is by learning to be better listeners. Because you know what? When we're not listening, we didn't hear what people said. And we're thinking about what our answer is instead of what the right answer is from a divine perspective. We need to express gratitude. That's another way of opening our hearts. In his book, The Universe is Calling, Eric Butterworth explains prayer with 4 key points: acknowledgement of the ever-presence of divine activity within us, the action of moving our feet in the direction that we want to go, the goal we envision. So if you're needing a job, you don't sit home waiting for them to call. If you need a new relationship, you don't sit home waiting for the relationship to knock on the door. Getting on with the work is the third point. Move forward. Anyway, move forward. And knowing we are in the unimpeded flow of the creative process. It's always working within us if we're open to it. And as we rise higher and higher in our consciousness and release fear and doubt and negative emotions, we will start to experience our transformation and our renewal. But it's going to require us to make a shift in our perspective. We have to move from seeing everything on the outside to seeing it on the inside. Don't focus on the external. Focus, as I told Fernando this week on the phone, focus on powering up. When you're down and out and you're having a rough time, power up. Don't leave yourself in the low level power. It won't help. The power of prayer lies in its ability to help us live in alignment with our true purpose. It will help us stay focused on our highest purpose, which we'll talk about next week, and navigate the distractions and challenges that may get in our way. Prayer provides us with clarity and strength to stay true to our path. And we can be empowered in any situation from the highest point of view if we can just hold on to the faith that we need to be powered up. Let's review our lessons for today. The power of prayer can change our lives when we understand the following. Prayer is an inner versus outer process. We are awakening the divine presence within. Number 2, prayer helps us open our hearts and minds to the limitless possibilities life offers. Number 3, prayer transforms our consciousness and frees us to express our highest potential. And number 4, prayer helps us find meaning and purpose, creating meaning and fulfillment in our lives. The affirmation I wrote for today is, the power of prayer transforms me. Let's say that together. The power of prayer transforms me. Oh, yeah. Jeffrey said to remind you that these are all in the bulletin if you forget. Oh, they're wrong? Wait, what? Oh, she didn't change them? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even catch that when I proofed the bulletin. All right, so I'll have them posted correctly online in the online bulletin. Look later. No wonder you were confused. You probably thought I was reading the wrong ones, but I wasn't. All right, our quote for today, Eric Butterworth. In Jesus' concept, prayer is not for God, but for you. You pray not to change something in God's mind, but to change it in your own mind. Let's take that in. So we pause now to reflect upon the power of prayer, our second week of Lent. Taking ourselves on this 40-day journey, just like Jesus did. Learning what we can, reinforcing what we knew, opening our hearts and minds to the divine nature within so we can transform ourselves at any given time. And so we say thank you, God, for the amazing gift of the divine wisdom that lies within every one of us. Amen.